Gordon Strachan's troubles really came to light when Sky Sports made it clear they wanted nothing to do with him after his comments sparked a huge backlash over racism. Even during his time as a manager, he was known for making remarks that caused problems, and this was just another example of him getting himself into trouble. Gordon Strachan found himself at the centre of controversy after making comments that seemed to compare the situation of convicted sex offender Adam Johnson with racial abuse in football. This didn't sit well with many, and the backlash was immediate. Sky Sports wasted no time in distancing themselves from him, making it clear that he wouldn't be appearing on their platform again. His remarks also drew strong reactions from anti-racism campaigners and former footballers, many of whom openly condemned what he had said. But this wasn't the first time Strachan's words had landed him in trouble. Throughout his managerial career, he had built a reputation for being blunt and, at times, sharp-tongued. While some appreciated his honesty, others felt his comments often created tension, whether it was with players, the media, or even the fans. His time as Scotland manager was no different. While his tactics were often debated, it was his post-match interviews that really got people talking. There were moments when his words came across as shifting blame or being overly critical of his own team's performances. For some, it was just Strachan being Strachan, but for others, it was yet another example of how his way with words could sometimes do more harm than good. But while he had his fair share of troubles, you can't really ignore the success he had in his career. Strachan's football journey began with Dundee, a club he chose over Manchester United at just 14, believing he'd have a better shot at breaking into the first team. His talent was clear from the start, and he quickly built a reputation as a standout player, twice winning the Scottish Reserve Player of the Year award. By 18, he was already turning heads, famously outplaying Alan Ball in a friendly against Arsenal, earning comparisons to a young Billy Bremner. In the 1975-76 season, Strachan became a regular for Dundee in the newly formed Scottish Premier Division. However, despite his contributions, the club was relegated on the final day of the season. The following year, at just 19, he was named captain, Dundee's youngest ever. But by his own admission, he struggled in the role, trying too hard to be a fiery leader rather than focusing on his game. Off-field issues, including a drinking session with club legend Jimmy Johnstone, saw him lose his place in the team. Realising Dundee was unlikely to return to the top flight anytime soon, Strachan and the club agreed it was time for him to move on. In 1977, Aberdeen snapped him up for £50,000. At first, things didn't go smoothly. Injuries and inconsistent form made his first season at Pittodrie a frustrating one. But when Alex Ferguson took over as manager in 1978, everything changed. Strachan played a key role in Aberdeen's incredible 1979-80 campaign, helping them win the league title by clawing back a 10-point deficit over Celtic. His performances earned him the SFWA Footballer of the Year award, and he committed his future to the club. Over the next few years, Aberdeen became a dominant force in Scottish football. In 1982, Strachan helped them win the Scottish Cup, providing a goal and an assist in the final. But it was the 1982-83 season that cemented their place in history. Despite finishing third in the league, Aberdeen stunned Europe by defeating Real Madrid 2-1 in the European Cup Winners' Cup final, a moment that remains one of Scottish football's greatest achievements. They also lifted the Scottish Cup again that year, beating Rangers. The success didn't stop there. In 1983-84, Aberdeen pulled off an incredible treble, winning the league, Scottish Cup, and European Super Cup by beating Hamburg. Strachan played a crucial role throughout, providing the assist for the winning goal in the Scottish Cup final against Celtic. His time at Aberdeen was filled with silverware, and under Ferguson's guidance, he became one of Scotland's most respected and influential midfielders. In August 1984, Manchester United splashed £500,000 to bring Gordon Strachan to Old Trafford. However, there was a bit of drama. He had already signed a pre-contract with German club First FC Köln. To resolve the mess, United had to pay £75,000 in compensation. Despite the rocky start, Strachan hit the ground running, scoring 4 goals in his first 7 games. That season, United finished 4th in the league, but the real highlight came at Wembley, where they won the FA Cup against Everton. Strachan played a crucial role in the build-up to Norman Whiteside's extra-time winner. The following season started with promise as United won their first 10 league games. But injuries, including a long spell on the sidelines for Strachan and captain Brian Robson, saw them lose momentum and finish 4th again. Things changed dramatically in November 1986 when Alex Ferguson took over as manager. Strachan, who had played under Ferguson at Aberdeen, joked to his teammates, "I never thought he'd follow me this far south." But Ferguson wasn't convinced by Strachan's form, believing he wasn't the same player now that he wasn't the star of the team. United finished a disappointing 11th that season, improved to 2nd the next, but then dropped back down to 11th in 1988-89. By early 1989, it was clear Strachan's time at United was coming to an end. Sheffield Wednesday, managed by his former boss Ron Atkinson, offered him a lucrative contract, but at the last minute, Leeds United matched the deal. Strachan took a risk, dropping down to the 2nd division, but he quickly became a fan favourite. Given the captain's armband, he formed an unlikely but effective midfield partnership with Vinnie Jones and led Leeds to promotion in 1989-90. Back in the top flight, Leeds built a strong midfield with Strachan alongside Gary McAllister, David Batty and Gary Speed. They finished 4th in their first season back and reached the League Cup semi-finals. Strachan's performances earned him the FWA Footballer of the Year award, making him the first player to win it in both Scotland and England. The following year, he led Leeds to their biggest achievement, winning the First Division title in 1991-92, denying his former club, Manchester United. However, at 35, his body was starting to feel the strain, and he struggled with a persistent back injury. Despite this, he was awarded an OBE for his contributions to football. Leeds couldn't maintain their success, finishing a disappointing 17th in the first ever Premier League season. Strachan, however, was still a standout performer, winning the club's Player of the Year award and even scoring a hat-trick against Blackburn. Leeds bounced back to finish 5th in 1993-94, but his playing time decreased the following season, signalling the end of his time at Elland Road. In 1995, he joined Coventry City as a player assistant manager under Ron Atkinson, with the understanding that he would take over as manager in 1997. He played 26 Premier League games for Coventry while learning the ropes of management. By late 1996, Coventry was struggling, and the club's board decided to fast-track the transition. Strachan took the reins as manager earlier than planned, officially marking the start of his next chapter in football. When Ron Atkinson moved upstairs as Coventry City's director of football in 1996, Gordon Strachan stepped up as player-manager. He brought in Alex Miller as his assistant and immediately turned things around, winning Manager of the Month in December. But after a rough start to the new year, just 1 win in 12 games, Coventry were staring at relegation. Dramatic wins over Liverpool, Chelsea and Spurs saved them by a single point, with Strachan even playing against Chelsea at 40 years old. Building on survival, he brought in talents like Magnus Hedman, Roland Nilsson, George Boateng and Viorel Moldovan, leading Coventry to 11th in 1997-98 and an FA Cup quarter-final. He was again named Manager of the Month in early 1998. Strachan then spent big on Robbie Keane, Mustafa Hadji and Youssef Chippo, but selling Dion Dublin hurt. Coventry's league form dipped, and after relegation in 2001, fans turned on him. With pressure mounting, he was sacked 5 games into the next season. Weeks later, Southampton handed him the reins after a disastrous start to their first season at St Mary's. Everyone thought they were doomed, but Strachan proved them wrong, guiding them to 11th. The next year, they finished 8th and made it to the FA Cup final, securing a UEFA Cup spot. In 2004, he announced he'd leave at the end of the season, but after news leaked, he stepped down early. After a 16-month break, he took charge of Celtic in 2005, aiming to reclaim the Scottish title. A humiliating 5-0 Champions League loss to Artmedia Bratislava and a 4-4 draw with Motherwell made for a nightmare start, but he turned things around, winning the League Cup and sealing the SPL title in record time. He was named Manager of the Year. The next season, he reshaped the squad, led Celtic to another league title, and took them to the Champions League last 16. He repeated the feat in 2007-8, securing 3 straight league titles, but resigned in 2009 after falling short in his 4th season. Middlesbrough hired him in 2009, but after a poor run, he left without compensation in 2010. In 2013, he became Scotland's manager, overseeing an upturn in form but falling short in Euro 2016 and World Cup 2018 qualification. He stepped down in 2017, bringing his coaching journey to an end. That's a wrap for today's video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe.